Okay, welcome you all back to class. Welcome you all. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
Geshe.
welcome you all back to class. Okay, um, just the, the first three times. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations with the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations with the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations with the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Next, the Tivitla, the Yedam mantra. I don't know. I don't know.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, the essence of dependent origination mantra. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tatha gato yavadat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tatha gato yavadat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tatha gato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha. Meaning of the Tendri Rinpo mantra. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Devilab will move to the Heart Sutra mantra. Page number 31. Thank you. We'll recite it for 5 times. Dayatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha.
Okay, we are on verse 30. Thank you. The pattern reads, refuting the assertion that the path which understands emptiness is of no benefit. Now the opponents, Chitamatra, they are not only Chittamatra and all the other philosophers, all the other philosophical schools, they again come up with the debate saying that even if you understand emptiness of what you are teaching, emptiness of objective existence, that nothing really exists objectively, including the mind, what benefit does it have? And yes, this is this is not just a rebuttal coming from the opponents of the Bodhisattva Shantideva. Actually, this is what comes to our mind when we get the sense of emptiness, or when we study that, we tend to get a feeling that everything's so gloomy, nothing's there, empty of true existence. So this is what is bound to happen. And then this well reflected, what is given here in the form of refutation coming from the opponents, saying that the path which understands emptiness is of no benefit. So how it's presented there is actually reflection of our own mind when we pursue through the meditation emptiness. This is what is bound to happen. Okay, so let's see.
We will go to listen.
Okay. Okay. So debates put forth here, stanza 30 reads, suppose you ask, even upon knowing the illusion-like nature of things, how do disturbing emotions subside, since lust for an illusory woman can arise even in the one who conjured her up? So let's say that let's say we talk about the emptiness and let's say our habits, how we find so difficult to undo our habits. One thing that we need to do is that how our mind operates. Say, when you are excited, how does the mind operate? When you feel sad, how does the mind operate? If you look at it, it is very important. So let us all try to do that later on in your own space and time, as to how the mind operates. That particularly related to our emotions, how the mind operates. And let's say that I remember one of my friends. In fact, most of us, we have, all of us, samsara beings, we have these tendencies. My friend, one morning during the breakfast time, on one side of the table, there's the stack of medicines, the Ayurveda medicine, allopathy medicine, then the homeopathy medicine, all medicines are there. Then on the other hand, there was a Coca-Cola. Then I asked him, what is this? What is this? A bunch of things there. He said, these are my medicines. Medicines for what? Medicines for the diabetes. And what is this? I pointed to the Coca-Cola. He said, I like it. Okay, what I'm saying is that this is how difficult it is for us to undo our habits. So now, although this person knows, we all have these tendencies. Although we know the problems there, still we, cling to things, and at times we, averse to things. And aversion, this extremely corrosive feeling within us, it really consumes our immunity. That's very true. It simply destroys our health. Where there's too much anger, aversion coming to others, this is something which really destroys our health. This is what we really need to take care of. In fact, some of my friends, when going through such a difficult time, there's so much of anger, aversion inside, I would tell them, okay, calm down, calm down. Your health is so important, indicating that if you don't care of, your emotional states, can really bring the destruction of your health and destroy your existence. This was what I was indicating. And then they pay no heat, and then ending up into all these complications. Very true. So these tendencies, how do they arise? This is the one thing so important for us to explore. This is extremely important. And if you're not really actively into politics, that is lucky, right? But the politics, they actively learn how to manipulate the things. There's so much of attachment to your position, anger towards your opposition, so forth. Okay. Uh, but some people, they deliberately involve into politics with the best of the intention to bring some contribution. Otherwise, bad guys always come there and destroy the whole country. These people are extremely kind. Otherwise, okay, this is a different story. Keeping aside that thing, how emotions arise. So we see that emotions arise on the basis of different the factors. Number one is that the cognitively, you see something cognitively, you see something as nice. Then the feeling coming to us is a pleasant feeling. Pleasant feeling. And then what makes us to see this as nice cognitively? The because of the earlier imprints getting activated. Early imprints getting activated in oneself to see something as nice. And then the cognitively, something is nice. And then the imprints are activated and the pleasant feeling arises. For the aversion, say cognitively unpleasant things are seen, and then the feeling wise unpleasant feeling arises, then you push. That is aversion. This is how it happens. Then this we need to make sure that we really gain conviction. This will tell us how our emotions imprison us. We're being imprisoned by these emotions. And sometimes we become so helpless, not because somebody is creating problem on us, it's because of our own emotions. They just trap us and we are not being freed. We don't get freedom from these emotions. So for that matter, we have to see how these emotions arise. So as I said earlier, one is cognitive thought processes, then the feelings, and these cognitive thought processes are supported by the tendencies, meaning the imprints from the past. So let's say that even if one knows that this Coca-Cola is not good for your health, but then because of the tendencies of liking for it, so that pushes you to get hold of it. So it says that the text reads, stanza 30, that even upon knowing the illusion-like nature of things, meaning that even if you know that nothing is objectively there, then in what way it helps to subdue your disturbing emotions? Matra. Now, and then the support that they come up with is, since lustful person, for an illusory, for the, let's say the magician creates the very beautiful, say the conjures a very beautiful lady, illusory lady, and since the lust for an illusory woman can arise even in the one who conjured her up. So the person knows that this is not real, still the lust arises. So Bodhisattva says that, well, that happens because heretofore meaning till the time the conjurer, the magician, has not rid himself of dispositions, the tendencies of disturbing emotions towards noble things, towards the phenomena. So when he sees her, his inclination towards emptiness is still weak, meaning that to know that that object does not exist as real, that the cognitive thought process that is so weak, and that needs to be, that the tendency of that needs to be built up. Once you know that, okay, it doesn't exist truly, it is like illusion, then this cognitive thought process we have to build it up in terms of the strength. Okay, so with this, some of my friends, when we do Bodhisattva retreats for like 10 days, 15 days, and so forth. And then there we do emptiness, bodhicitta, the four seals, meditation, and so forth. And some of them, yes, we do it quite intensely, particularly during the residential programs. And some of them will say that, okay, I've been meditating on emptiness. When I meditate, it sounds nice, but when it comes to my emotions, then it doesn't really have effect on that. So where am I going wrong? So in the first place, of course, the understanding of emptiness, that is not we have to really check whether it's the real emptiness experience. Bodhicitta and emptiness experience, which were very different. Bodhicitta, it is the subject matter wise is not difficult. It is to ignite the experience, that's difficult. For emptiness, the subject matter is difficult, and once you get hold of the subject matter, then the igniting the experience, the great teachers, they say that is easier. Okay, this is one part. Then the other part is, even if you get it, then as what Bodhisattva Shantideva said, that the cognitively we have two thought processes. One is cognitively seeing things as objectively real, and the other, if you get the experience of emptiness, then cognitively you will see that things are like illusion. So these two things should combat. Combating these two things, then naturally the other side, seeing things as objectively real, the tendencies, imprints, we are so rich with those imprints from the past many years, well, lifetimes. And then here, imprint of the wisdom of emptiness is so less. So now this is a great opportunity for us that in this life, we try our best, first of all, to build the knowledge, study, a reflection of the meditation emptiness. And once you get it, and see how much we can habituate in this, in order to build the strength of this wisdom. That is extremely important. Okay, so what it says here is stanza 32. However, by habituating himself with the imprint of understanding emptiness, he or she will rid himself or herself of the inclination to see things as truly existent. Then by habituating himself or herself with the emptiness of all phenomena, including even emptiness, to see the emptiness to be of an end to existence. Later, he or she will get rid of even the idea of the true existence of emptiness. In other words, that the grasping to believing in things as objective real will all stop. Okay. 33. Through not finding the object of investigation, the non-existence of that thing is claimed. Then lacking a basis, how can the emptiness of a thing stand in front of the mind? Okay. This has two interpretations. One is, through not finding the object of investigation, the non-existence of that thing is claimed. Meaning that, I say, want to identify the object of negation. So, for example, the self doesn't exist as object real. Self doesn't exist as truly real. So, what is rejected? On the contrary, we see the self as truly real. We see everything as objectively real. Now, only when you understand that the self does not exist as truly real, for that matter, first we have to identify what a truly existent self would be like if it does exist. Truly existent self would be like. So that is identifying the object of negation. Once you identify the object of negation so well, then you can negate it to see that it is not there. It is not there, it is empty. So this is first understanding. Through not finding the object of investigation, object of negation, what are you going to negate? The true existence, truly existent self, truly existent others. Once you identify that, what is to be negated, the non-existence of that, the non-existence of the truly existent self, that is claimed, meaning that is established. Okay, this is one understanding. Then another understanding of this same line is that, let's say that the wall and the mural, the painting of the wall. See, when the wall is demolished, then the painting of the wall is also demolished automatically. Likewise, when you see when you see that the self does not exist truly, then the characteristics of the self, like the paintings of the wall, when you realize the self, which is the basis of all these characteristics, when this self is not truly real, then you by default, we should be coming to know that all the characteristics of this self as well are empty of true existence. Okay, let's say that if the wall is demolished, then all the characteristics of this wall, the paintings, the texture, all these things will be dismantled or will be demolished. So likewise, if you see that the self, or whatever the object to be analyzed, this self is empty of objective existence, then all the characteristics of this self also will be seen as empty of true existence. Okay, this is the second version of the understanding of these two lines. Okay, then lacking a basis, third line. Then lacking a basis, meaning that the self and the emptiness of the self. When you see the self does not have the true basis, truly existing basis, then the lacking a basis, how can the emptiness of a thing, emptiness of the self, which is characteristic of the self. Self is the characterized and the emptiness is the characteristic. When you see that the characterized does not exist truly, then all the characteristics should also be seen as the empty of true existence. Then lacking a basis, they categorize as empty of true existence. How can the emptiness, which is the characteristic of this self, of a thing, of the self, stand in front of the mind? Stand meaning stand as truly real in front of the mind. Okay. Which means that talking about the flower and the emptiness of the flower, talking about the self and emptiness of the self. When the flower is empty of objective existence, self naturally should be empty of objective existence. Emptiness of the flower and the emptiness of flower. When the flower is seen as empty of objective existence, then the emptiness of the flower should also be seen as emptiness of objective existence, for the reason that the flower is the characterized and the emptiness of the flower is the characteristic. And this you can apply to anything else. Okay. How can the emptiness of the thing stand in front of the mind? Stand in front of the mind, meaning stand as objectively real in front of the mind. 34. When neither a truly existent functional thing nor the emptiness of the functional thing stands before the mind, now say that the object and the emptiness of the object. So we say that that object is empty of true existence. Then the emptiness. Again, this is another reflection of our own thinking, where people meditate the emptiness. When they meditate emptiness, then naturally we tend to have so much of sense of value of emptiness. Emptiness is so important, emptiness, and then in the process, there's a danger that we solidify emptiness, we objectify emptiness. And once you objectify emptiness, then although you talk about the emptiness of the self, emptiness of any other thing, but if you objectify the emptiness, still you have something to hold on to. When you have something to hold on to, this is known as the self-grasping ignorance. This is samsara. So still you are not released from samsara. So the point is that what is advice is to see the emptiness of all phenomena, including the emptiness of this self, emptiness itself. We should be able to see the emptiness of the emptiness. It's for this reason that the Buddha taught the emptiness of the emptiness of the ultimate reality. 34. When neither the truly existent functional thing, which is the self, the flower, the house, and so forth, when you see that that object is not truly existent, nor the emptiness of that functional thing, nor the emptiness of that object exists as truly real, stands before the mind. Stand before the mind meaning stand is objectively real in front of before the mind, which means stands objectively real. Then having no other object of apprehension, then what does the mind have to hold on to say that this is objectively real? You are left with nothing. You are left with nothing to hold on to. So the example given is like the holding a fire. Say if you have, say, let's say this is a piece of gold, and let's say that this is the red hot burning gold. This gold, but it's red hot in fire, with fire. So you hold it because that this is the gold. You don't want to let it go. You hold it. You hold it. It burns your hand. So if you let it go, then you are throwing the gold. Although you free yourself from the fire, but you are throwing the gold away. And if you keep holding it, because being gold, it burns you. So the advice given is that the experts, they will throw this gold, the red hot gold, in cold water. Put in cold water, the fire extinguishes, but the gold is left intact. So likewise, we subject all phenomena. We'll subject all phenomena to the wisdom of emptiness. It'll burn the ignorance to see things as objectively real. It'll burn it to see things as objectively real, be it the self, be it the emptiness of self, be it the flower, the emptiness of flower. It burns the mistaken view, but it'll keep intact the dependent origination. So dependent origination is kept intact, and on that basis, we can cultivate the compassion on a basis of understanding the dependent origination. Okay. Then having no other object of apprehension, there is full pacification in a state without mental apprehension. Meaning that, say it is like from the dream you wake up. From the dream you wake up, then nothing in the dream. Say in the dream you said, "Oh, this is a nice dream. This is a pleasant dream. This is this nice thing. I want it. This is not a nice thing. I don't want it." This is all this pull and push happens in the dream, failing to see the dream as dream. When you wake up, then nothing in the dream will pull and push. So, with respect to the dream, you are totally being freed. Okay, so this is then having no other object of apprehension. Third line. Then having no other object of apprehension, there is full pacification, meaning that the nothing in the dream affects you anymore now. Now your mind is totally freed from the involuntary pull and push of the dream. Now this is a full pacification in a state without mental apprehension, meaning that nothing to be seen as objectively real. Okay, David, would you mind going back to the prayer, the book, page number 3 or page number 4? Page number 3. Let's see. Yes. Okay. The next just a little bit up, still up. Independent origination. Very good. Thank you. Okay, this is very important. In this connection, what we read from verse 34 of Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, chapter 9, we're going to correlate this with this verse. This verse is by Arya Nagarjuna. Arya Nagarjuna, this is the word of salutation to the Buddha Shakyamuni. This is very important verse, and of course, this is the summary. This is the quintessential of the whole text, the Mula Madhyamika Karika. Okay, let me say this. Say emptiness and dependent origination. With respect to the objectivity, is empty. With respect to subjectivity, there's a dependent origination operating. Let's not forget it. Objective and subjective. Objectively speaking, you see the emptiness of objective existence. Subjectively speaking, there is dependent origination operating. So when you say that things are empty of objectivity, You are saying that things are all subjective. Or when you say things are all subjective, you are saying that things are empty of objective existence. How many agree with me? Raise your hands. Okay, very good. Now, I'll say, in other words, what we are saying is that emptiness of objectivity equals subjectivity, and subjectivity equals dependent origination. So it says, in dependent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. Okay, in dependent origination, meaning subjectively what is seen as dependent origination, objectively it is, there's no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation. So the first line is subjectively. Subjectively, what is seen as dependent origination is objectively what is seen as empty of ceasing, empty of arising, empty of annihilation, empty of permanence, coming, going, separateness, and sameness. Okay. You see that there are enumeration of the 8 phenomena, rejecting 8 phenomena, 8 kinds of phenomena. These 8 phenomena, they do exist on the level of dependent origination. They don't exist on the level of objectivity. How many you got it? Raise your hands. How many you understand what I'm saying now? Very good. So these 8 phenomena, ceasing, arising, annihilation, permanence, coming, going, separateness, and sameness. So these 8 phenomena, they do exist on the subjective level. They don't exist on the objective level. On a subjective level, how do they exist? How do they exist? This question. Given that they don't exist objectively, they don't exist ultimately, they don't exist independently. They don't exist objectively, they don't exist independently. If they don't exist independently, they still exist. How do they exist? They exist by dependent origination. So all these phenomena, on the level of dependent origination, these 8 phenomena operate. But given that they exist only dependently, objectively or independently, they don't operate, they don't exist. But when we look at things, particularly when the emotions surge within us, emotions arise within us, how do we see things? Say, for example, say the fear of the COVID. And then there's somebody who really, talks the unnice about you, your children, your parents, yourself, and so forth. How is your emotional reaction? How does the other person appear to your mind? As so objective real or like an illusion? Of course, as so solidified, so objective real. And believe it or not, our life, 24 hours, somehow our life is hovering around these 8 phenomena. Hovering around these 8 phenomena. Ceasing, arising, annihilation, permanence, coming, going, separateness, and sameness. This is how our mind, our self, how we operate in this world, by encountering with these 8 phenomena, and then the emotions arise within us. For example, okay, how many you want to see that the COVID-19 ceases? The first one. Okay, ceasing. Then arising, the old good days, no COVID arises. How many of you are looking forward to that? We're all looking forward to that. Very good. So, see, ceasing and arising. And if you have a very complicated neighbor, how many of you like to see that the neighbor ceases to be in this, to be your neighbor? We all. And then the new neighbor, a nice neighbor who's always so kind to you, who always listens to you, you anticipate such person arising as your neighbor. This is how our whole existence revolves around these 2 expectations, these 2 things. Now, seizing of good things, you feel so sad. Seizing of bad things, which you dislike, there's so much excitement and happiness there. Even the tone is very different. And then the arising of bad things, there's so much of fear, uncertainty, anger, agitation. And then the arising of good things, you are so happy. This is how we are stirred into the emotions by these 2 phenomena. Then the annihilation and permanence. say on the same near and dear ones, somebody who you love so much, the person disappeared from this world altogether, which means the person dies. Annihilates, meaning the person dies, will not come back again. There's so much of fear, there's so much of sadness, so much of pain. Then a permanence, or this permanent, the person who I dislike, this person who's so nasty towards me, that is evergreen all the time, permanent. You're so unhappy. And say for example, say in some places which happen, the permanent, the accidents happening all the time, you're so unhappy. And then you wish that it disappears altogether, it annihilates completely. So annihilation and the permanence. Then coming and going, again the same thing, that you want bad things to go away, you want good things to come. When the bad things come, you're very unhappy. When the good things go, you're very unhappy. Again, look, this is how you are operating on the basis of these phenomena. Your emotions, you are stirred into emotions by seeing things as objectively real, as coming and going. And then the separateness and sameness. So let's say that some countries, they say that we are separate, we are not one country, we are separate countries. And then they fight. And some say, no, we are same country, East Germany, West Germany, we are one country, So some say, oh, the EU, European Union, we are one union. And then what is that? The Brexit. No, I want to be different from you, different, separate. So look, this is how the world is operating, this world. And then when you see that, there's so much of strong emotions arising within you, emotions. And these emotions are not simply because of seeing, not simply because you see the ceasing, arising, annihilation, permanence, but seeing them as objectively real, seeing them as truly real, that then stirs us into these various emotions. Let's believe it, even the dreams is a problem. I say, if the family is not together, there's a problem. If the family is together, there's a problem. You have no privacy. If the family is not together, you're feeling lonely, there's a problem. So you crave for oneness. When you're one, again, there's no privacy, you crave for the differentness. So this is how our mind is simply, torn apart into the emotions because of seeing these 8 phenomena as intrinsically real. Okay, so now let's say that this is exactly what's happening in the dream. In the dream, with all these, you witnessing all these 8 phenomena happening in the dream, and then seeing them as real, actually dream, but seeing them as real. And then you just go into so much of mental agitation, frustration, excitement, and so forth. And suddenly you wake up. Then you see that nothing in the dream, any of these things, eight things will be seen as real. The moment you stop to see these 8 phenomena as real, what happened in the dream as real, stop to see them as real, then you are freed from being affected by these 8 dream phenomena. So that is when you don't apprehend anything of there in the dream as real. So it says, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha. Who taught this? I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers. What do you mean by teachers? Teacher means somebody who is to guide you to a place of undesirable, to a place that you desire, the place where there's no fear, place where there's all these, the loss of freedom, misery stop, you gain total freedom. So that is the real teacher, the supreme among all teachers, the one who, and then on this earth, there were so many teachers. At the time of the Buddha Shakyamuni, there were so many teachers, but till the Buddha Shakyamuni, there was not at all anybody who can teach this phenomena, that nothing exists objectively real, everything exists objectively real. Nobody could teach that. Only that 2,500 years ago, that Prince Siddhartha, when he became the enlightened Buddha, then he was the first one on this earth to teach this phenomena, that everything is like a dream, so that you will gain total freedom. That is the total fearlessness. The supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace. Which peace? Where your mind stops to feel any disturbance. Disturbance meaning involuntary pull and push. Your mind is stopped. Your mind stops from the involuntary pull and push, because you see that everything is like a dream coming from a mind. There's nothing which really affects me. So nothing affects you anymore. So that at that point, your mind finds the rest. This is the total peace, which is freed of elaborations, meaning the freed of objective elaborations. When you see things as real, then your mind is pull and push. So that involuntary pull and push stops. You get total peace of mind by seeing that there's nothing there as elaboration. All what I see is elaboration, meaning all is different things there in the dream. They're all just of the one taste of your own mind. Okay, this is a very, and the say conventional analysis and the ultimate analysis. Okay, this one thing that we need to be introduced. Conventional analysis and the ultimate analysis. Let's say that okay, what is this? Let's say this is a flower. And what is this? This water. This is all conventional mind. The mind which analyzes the convention, the flower, the water, and so forth. And if you analyze this deeper, beyond this mere convention, if you go deeper, you see there's nothing but a bunch of atoms. And none of the atom is this flower. None of the atom is this water. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. Very good. Okay. So we see that on that level, on the level of the atoms, what we see as a flower, what we see as flower, what we see as water simply dissolves, simply dissolves. So the concept of flower, concept of conventional flower, concept of conventional water, they all dissolve when you reach to another level of the reality. So that mind, which reaches the another level of reality, which goes beyond the conventional level, is known as the mind analyzing the ultimate. So we see that there are two minds, mind analyzing the convention and the mind analyzing the ultimate. Now, you're watching a movie here. You are here, and this is the way you are watching the movie. This is a screen on which the movie is screened. And the movie is coming from the projector behind you. Projector. You're watching the movie here, not here. This is a projector. But the movie is coming from the projector. It's not from the screen. It is on the screen, not from the screen. So the projector is like your mind. The projector projects the movie, and it is screened on the screen there. And the movie is actually coming from this projector. So projector is like your mind, and everything is like a movie that you're watching on the screen. They're all coming from your mind, actually. But when you see them, you don't see them coming from your mind. You see them coming from the object. That is known as the self-grasping ignorance. Ignorance grasping at the things to be existing from itself. That is a self-grasping ignorance. Now, there are two possibilities, one from the subject, one from the object. So, when you see things as from the object, then you are here. This is your mind. And when you see things as from the object, then they say it's distance. It's distance, and you have lost the control. So, oh, this is nice, you have to go to grab it. Oh, this is very scary, you have to run away from it. So the movement happens. Involuntary movement happens. So this is a loss of freedom. Whereas you want your mind to rest. For example, say with the COVID-19, where the COVID badly hits the places like India, Brazil, and so forth. COVID really badly hits. The medical professionals, they do not really have time even to rest. They're so tired. They want to rest. But they have to do almost like 24 hours. The little time they get on the aisle, wherever, like 5 minutes, they lie down, they fall asleep. So they want, desperately, they want to rest. But they cannot rest. They have to move, keep moving, keep moving. So this is the loss of freedom. And okay, COVID disappears now. There's no COVID at all. These doctors will be relieved. So they finally get the rest. So our mind is exactly like these medical professionals. Our mind is constantly being pulled and pushed by seeing things as objectively real. Pulled and pushed, no rest at all. 24 hours, no rest. Even in dreams, our mind is being pulled and pushed. And waking up, pulled and pushed. So only when you realize that actually all these phenomena, ceasing, arising, coming, going, oneness, separateness, the permanence and the annihilation, they're all coming from the subject, not from the object. Then from the object, there's nothing there to pull and push. So the object dissolves. Your mind, only your mind is left, and your mind does not have anything which apprehend of which will make you pull or push. That stops. Then your mind finds the rest. This is a total peace. Total peace. And you see that all these, what we see as different things, good things, bad things, thousands of things. For example, you go to, let's say, any big cities, you see a huge building with thousands of window panes, and how many such thousands of buildings are there? How many thousands of cars are there? All these are various, the different things. There are millions and trillions of different things there in the form of elaborations. When you wake up, all these elaborations dissolve into your mind, meaning that they dissolve. That all this is just projection of your own mind. Projection of your mind. The moment you wake up, they all dissolve into thin air. Okay, so likewise, when you go into the experience of the ultimate analysis to see what is there on the object, when you go to see what is there on the object, you see that on the object, nothing's really there. Nothing's really there. Then with respect to you, on that plane of the ultimate, the analysis, with respect to you, there's nothing left there which can pull and push your mind. Your mind finds rest. This is absolute peace, which was for the first time on this earth taught by the Buddha Shakyamuni 2,500 years ago. Okay, so this stanza, this verse is so precious, and if possible, the David Love, the same page 4 of the page. Okay, thank you. So this verse, if possible, particularly people who really want to get rid of fears of life, anxiety, anguish, and so forth. Okay, how many of you want to get rid of the fears of life? Raise hands. Okay, if you're serious. And who is that, the boys or the girls? Both. Israelis or non-Israelis? Both. And educated, uneducated? Both. Buddhists or non-Buddhists? Both. If you really want to get rid of the fears of life, learn how to go to the ultimate level, ultimate level, to see that in the ultimate domain, there's nothing really there to pull you and push you, right? So that of course we have to go through extensive studies of what emptiness is on the basis of Acharya Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, which we're doing now, and also what Acharya Chandragati taught in Madhyamaka Avatar, and then finally what Arya Nagarjuna taught in the fundamental wisdom of the middle way. And so this verse that we are reading here, this is the word of salutation of that text. So this verse, people recite it every day, recite it, and people meditate on this verse and to connect themselves, to habituate themselves to this experience where you see that on the illusion-like nature, there's dependent origination operating. Dependent origination, subjectively there is dependent origination, then objectively there's no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. On the objective level, everything dissolves there. So this experience on the objective level, there's nothing really there. On the objective level, everything dissolves. There's nothing really there to hold your mind. Your mind finds rest. Your mind finds This is extremely important psychology, how our mind is being affected by the cognitive thought process. For example, let's say that okay, let's say somebody dislikes, let's say somebody dislikes what? Somebody dislikes, let's say the some fruits, let's say some fruits, and the display of the picture of full of those fruits. The person just looks at it, and or otherwise, to make it very simple, let's say the horror movies, the ghost movies. You look at it, initially you may enjoy it, and then they gradually it's very scary that your mind is in fact, actually there's no ghost there. You know that there's no ghost. It's just, you watch a movie, but it affects your mind. It affects your mind. So what is it doing? Is there something there which really disturbs your mind? No, there's nothing really there. It's a plain color, mixture of colors happening there, and then it affects your mind. And suddenly the say movie changed. The movie changed to the mother and the child's love and affection. The mother giving so much love, affection, care to the child, and you could just enjoy this. And if you ask me personally, what is your favorite thing to do? Right? I would say just to observe the dynamic between the mother and the young tender child, not the child when the child is age 14, 15, 16. Child age reaching age 14, 16, the mother is very complicated. When the child is age, say 4, 5, 6, the child is so vulnerable, and the mother is there to give every love and affection to the child. When you see this dynamic, I can sit for like 3, 4 hours just watching it, appreciating it, let my own compassion, let my own feeling of love and affection towards the beings, soar up. It's so beautiful thing to do. So what is happening is cognitively, there's a cognitive the thought processes, a change in the cognitive thought process happening. There will be the horror movie, a set of cognitive thought processes. You're watching it, it affects you. And so seeing the quality of the movie from the horror movie to the mother and the child relate to love and affection, and then a very pleasant feeling arises within you. So what is really happening is that so your cognitive thought process is being changed. So that then triggers the pleasant or the unpleasant feelings. So then, in both cases, one is where you say there's a very pleasant thing, you just run into tears to feel the enormous love and affection of the mother towards the child, and the child's love towards the mother is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Sometimes when I keep watching this, I just wish that this small child remains a small child all the time, not a 16 years old boy or 16 years old girl like this. Always remains this, so that the love is so beautiful all the time. Otherwise, when the child is very dependent, when the child is so vulnerable, this love is so intense. When the child becomes more independent, then forgets. That's very sad. Very sad. That's very sad. Okay. So what I'm saying is that this is the extremely important point. Then, with cognitively, we're able to see that things are empty of objective existence. Cognitively, from the conventional analysis, you go into the ultimate analysis, then you see that ultimately nothing's really there, and you see that nothing's really there to affect your mind. Your mind is totally free, and many teachers, they express the experience of that in the form of acute, tranquil feelings and tickling sensations, cold waves flowing through your body. All these experiences are shared when you enter in this domain. And anybody can go into this domain as long as one has a very systematic studies and reflection. Okay. So this stanza, these two verses by Nagarjuna, if you can reflect on these verses every day by reciting them, reflect on the meanings, that would be greatly, greatly, greatly beneficial. Okay. And the experience of emptiness is not like, 2 + 3 = 5. It's not like that. 2 + 3 = 5. This is purely the study and reflection. is not, it has nothing to do with meditation. But the emptiness requires meditation, study, reflection, and meditation. With the study, it helps you to gather the information, what you meditate on. Then with the reflection, it'll give you a sense of conviction. Yes, things are true, things are actually empty of true existence. Then the conviction that you gained, it is like getting the medicines. Once you get the medicines for, let's say, tuberculosis, you have to take the medicine continuously. You have to complete the course, like 6 months, 3 months, and so forth. Likewise, we have to take this medication, the medicine of the wisdom of emptiness continuously, so that you will feel the effect in your emotional world, where the calmness is being felt, where you meet with any kind of disturbing situations, but your mind, unlike the earlier days, your mind becomes more calm and controlled. Okay, this is extremely important point. Okay, next we go to 34. 34 is the reinforcement of what we read from the Murumadhyama Karika Bodhisattva citation 34. When neither truly existent functional thing, meaning the object, the characterized, the flower is the characterized, and its characteristics like the color, the smell, the shape, and the emptiness, impermanence, and so forth, its characteristics. Likewise, the self is the characterized, and the characteristics of the self, emptiness also included. But neither the truly existent functional thing nor the emptiness of the functional things stands before the mind. Stands before the mind, meaning that no, the emptiness of the functional thing exists as objectively real in front of the mind. Mind, that it cannot be seen as objectively real. When your mind sees the emptiness of this rather than the objective existence of that, then having no other objective apprehension, like waking up, there's nothing left in the dream which you see as objective apprehension. There is a full pacification of the state, full pacification. There's tremendous calmness you could feel without mental apprehension. Okay, this is very important. And to go through a very systematic study of the emptiness. With this, once you get a glimpse of emptiness, then the way the great teachers, they explain very tranquil experience can be felt, and which we never experienced before. Earlier, we think that, okay, I'm peaceful now, I'm calm now. But that calmness, as compared to when you experience emptiness, then you see an extremely subtle, profound level of the calmness. Then you realize that even what I earlier called as the calm state of my mind, that is also in the form of disturbance. Okay. 35. Okay, now is a little easier. The question is asked: if there's nothing really there from the object, if everything is like the dream, and particularly when you realize that everything is like a dream, then how do you operate in the world? And who is the best person who realized that? The Buddha. When you become a Buddha, each one of us, when we become a Buddha, then how will you operate in this world? Will you just remain idle, see everything like a dream, or you'll be very active? For us, when you say somebody is very actively helping, there you are seeing things as objective there. So how does the Buddha operate? By after seeing everything like a dream in the best way. Stanza 35. Then just as a wish-fulfilling gem and a wish-granting tree fulfill all wishes, likewise through the power of the prayers, the enlightened body of a victor, the Buddha, appears to the disciples. Okay. In fact, what happens is that let's say that say you go to help assist your child. When you go to help your child, what do? Your mind, is it true or not? Just tell me. Say when you go to assist your mother, let's say. So what is really happening? So when you become a Buddha, you have to benefit all the beings. So just let us take the example of how will I behave with respect to all the beings when I become a Buddha. When each one of us, when we become Buddha, how will we behave? So just see that you as a child and your mom, and particularly when you feel so loving and caring towards your mom, and your mom is sick, how do you go to help her? How do you go to help her? So first, what happens? Your mind feels its love and affection. With this feeling of love and affection, there your mind will make you physically to move closer towards your mother. And then let's say that she finds difficulty getting up, then you extend your hand. Your mind makes your hands to move to reach out to your mom's hand, and then pulls her to make her stand. How many agree? Raise hands. This is a very simple way of how we assist, how we benefit somebody. This is how where the mind is involved, and the mind dictating the body to help the other beings. And in some cases, for example, say a poor person and is in need of the money, then your mind makes your hand to reach out to your purse or your wallet and take out some money, and then reach out to the poor person and give it. So this is how the mind works. This is how the mind works. So when you become a Buddha, your mind works perfectly well. How? That for the time being, our mind cannot work so freely when you're helping your mom in Tel Aviv. You cannot help your sister in the high five. So you cannot do that simultaneously. Whereas when you become a Buddha, what happens is that your mind is like the light. Your mind is like the light. The light, so the candle, a bright candle, covered with the pitcher. The light does not illuminate outside except for the small area inside the pitcher. You remove the pitcher, the light, you don't have to stretch the light to the other parts of the room. Just remove the pitcher and the light will automatically flow to all the atoms of the house. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. Likewise, our mind, the true nature of mind is like this very bright light. So like the pitcher, the mental defilements, the gold mixed with the soil. Gold mixed with the soil. So as long as the soil is there, the nature of the gold to glow does not happen. You remove the soil, you don't have to make the gold glow. Automatically the gold will glow. Likewise, you remove the pitcher and the light inside will glow in every direction of the house. Likewise, you remove the metal dirt and this light inside your mind, the light of the glow of the mind will simply flow automatically towards every atom of the mind, every atom of the universe, and every mind of the sentient being. So for us at the moment, we have to put effort to let our mind flow, to let our mind flow, to make this hand move to take out some money and make it move to give it to the poor person. So this we have to put effort, because why effort? Without effort, it's not happening spontaneously because it's blocked by the metal dirt. When you remove the metal dirt, all this happens very spontaneously. So this is how the Buddha spontaneously benefits all beings simultaneously without any effort. This is the benefit of becoming Buddha. Okay. So it says, then just as a wish fulfilling gem, you don't need any effort. You don't need any effort, the wish fulfilling gem, to fulfill your prayers. The wish fulfilling gem will not think that, okay, he's praying for me, praying to me, now I have to fulfill his aspiration. No. Just the wish fulfilling gem, this is an inanimate object, but it fulfills your prayers. Whatever you pray is fulfilled. And wish granting tree fulfills all wishes. Likewise, through the power of the prayers, the Buddhas, what makes, when you become Buddha, how your mind flows all automatically towards all atoms of the universe, to all the minds of sentient beings, is because all the obstructions are cleared. What are the obstructions? Obstructions are cleared by many factors. Primarily, the wisdom of emptiness. Obstructions are related to the self-grasping ignorance and its subtle stains, afflictive obscurations and the cognitive obscurations. When they are removed, then the mind flows spontaneously. So that is being that is this metal stain, metal dirt, the metal dirt, that is in the form of selfishness. It's in the form of self-grasping ignorance, selfishness, and all these metal force, anger, agitation, attachment, craving, greed, all these things are there, mixed up. So I say did not want to help others. Not I want to help only a small family, only my family. Not all beings. All these things are being blocked. Although your mind has that capacity to benefit all beings, but these are all being blocked. Now they are being so. One way of letting it expand is in the form of prayer. Prayer is nothing, just to make the commitment that may I be able to benefit all beings. May I be able to benefit all beings. When you say this is in the form of prayer. So this prayer makes you to free the mind. So with this, the eagerness comes to your mind, the eagerness. With this eagerness, then you apply the wisdom of emptiness, it will work perfectly well. The prayers, the enlightened body of the victor appears to the disciples spontaneously. Even if the Buddha Shakyamuni is here in India, and for example in Tel Aviv, in Israel, if somebody is there who has a karmic connection with the Buddha, while the Buddha is giving teachings here in Rajgir, simultaneously he can manifest in Israel. Simultaneously he can manifest in Japan, in America, in Nigeria, in wherever in the world, wherever you are, the Buddha will manifest simultaneously in all places. For example, when the Buddha was giving teaching in Rajgir, when the Heart Sutra teaching was happening in Rajgir, and it was the North India, then South India, the Buddha was giving a Shri Kalachakra teaching. Simultaneously, it was happening. So this all happens because our mind, the true nature of which is to glow in all direction, which is temporarily blocked by the mental defilement, self-grasping, ignorance, self-centered attitude. When these two are removed, then our mind flows in all directions. So the mind is everywhere. At the moment when we are helping a mom, we are trying to let the mind move. So at that stage, when you become Buddha, you don't have to let it move. It automatically is already everywhere, pervading everywhere. This is how the Buddha benefits all the beings. Okay. Stanza 36. For example, okay, when a Garudika healer who empowered the healing cane has passed away, that cane can pacify poison and the like long after the healer is dead. For example, let's say that let's say that's the in the past there are healers. Even nowadays there are healers. The people who heal, involved with healing therapies. So the healers, some of them referred to as the Garudika healers. What they do is that they invoke the power of the Garudika, the spirit, the Garudika, and then they consecrate the cane or the stake. They consecrate that, invoke the spirit of the Garudika, that spirit, and then bless this cane. And then the healer uses this cane to remove the poisons and so forth of the other people. And then this healer dies, but the cane is still there. Cane is still left. It's still consecrated, and somebody else uses it. Still it works. For example, let's say today, let's say that somebody makes the computer. The first person who created the computer, he must have gone now. He must have died now. But the computer is still operating. Although he died, it's not that now the computer also died. No, he died, but what he created as a computer is still functioning, is still operating. Likewise, the Garudigar, the cane, consecrated by the power of the healer and with the help of the Garudigar spirit, but it's consecrated, the cane which is consecrated. Later on, when the healer passed away, the cane left. Cane that is left can still be used to do the same function to help others, to remove their illnesses and so forth. So likewise, they say the Buddhas, when you become a Buddha, your mind becomes very spontaneous, which will continue to perform the welfare of the sentient beings endlessly. 37. Similarly, when a Bodhisattva has passed into Nirvana, after setting up the reliquary, a body of the victor, in accord with the Bodhisattva's conduct, he still performs all the necessary deeds. Let's say that the Bodhisattva, a Bodhisattva, a Bodhisattva, he or she puts efforts to become a Buddha. Victor here meaning the Buddha, somebody who gained victory over the 4 demons. After gaining the victory over the 4 demons, then you are a Buddha. When you become a Buddha, then the reliquaries, mean stupas, particularly when the Buddhas and the Arhats, when they pass away, the Buddha instructed to construct stupas for them. So stupas are built, consecrated, and then after setting up the reliquary of a victor, in accordance with the Bodhisattva's conduct. So the Bodhisattva, he or she puts effort to become the Buddha, and then assumed to passing away, and the reliquaries are built. And so then the Bodhisattva who later became the Buddha manifests the Mahaparinirvana, which means passed away. Then what about the stupa? Does it serve the purpose of benefiting beings? If you go to pray, say prayers to the will you accumulate merit? Or if you offer some the flowers and you make any kind of offerings, does it help you accumulate merit? The answer is yes, yes. Because this stupa is so powerful. Although the Bodhisattva associated with this is already gone, but the power which is being bestowed upon this stupa still remains. It continues to function. Likewise, say when each one of us, when we become Buddhas, effortlessly, it serves to benefit all the beings. Okay. 38. 38. Suppose you ask, how can offerings made to something lacking a mind give rise to results? Well, okay. This was something that happened to me one time. One time I met a gentleman, and then he said that you are a Buddhist. I said yes. And he said that he also went to Thailand. I said okay. And then he said that in Thailand people are worshipping the metals. I said, what? They're worshipping the metals. I said, what do you mean? He said that the Buddha made of metals. They're actually metal. They're not Buddhas. They're metals. He said they're worshipping metals. Oh, so what's the point? It's totally meaningless. He said that. And at first I did not really pay much attention. And he was continuously saying like this metal will not give you the stone will not give you food. If you pray, it will not give you food. Then I told him that, okay, do you keep your do you have a family the photographs? He said yes. This photograph is not your mother, it's not your father. Why are you keeping this? It's a paper. Why are you keeping this? Why are you keeping this the paper? Right? This paper and the paper of demon, this is just no difference. These are just 2 papers, right? So why are you keeping this? This is not your mother. Your mother passed away a long time ago. Your father passed away a long time ago, but you are keeping this paper. This is a paper. This is not a mother. Why are you keeping this? Then he said that it's for memory. This is exactly how it works. Say the Buddha statue made of the metal, stone, they're not the Buddhas, it's fine. But when you see that, it reminds, there's a memory coming, memory, that it reminds you of the qualities of the Buddha. As you think of the qualities of the Buddha, there is what today we call as the mirror neurons. Mirror neurons. When you reflect on these qualities, then these qualities start to take root in you. Qualities start to take birth in you. This is how you become more compassionate. This is how you started to gain passion, to learn about emptiness, to learn about the reality, to learn about how to work for the world, work for all sentient beings. This is how it helps us. And so this was the kind of debate that I had with him. So this is exactly what is being put forth here, 38. Suppose you ask, how can offerings made to something lacking a mind, which is like, the stupa and so forth, give rise to results? Well, because whether he is alive or has already passed to nirvana, mega offerings has been proclaimed to generate the same amount of merit. This is very important. We can explain this phenomena in two ways. One, for example, let's say E equals mc squared. If somebody asks me, what is the famous equation of Albert Einstein? I will say E equals mc squared. And do you know how it is derived? I say, no, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that. But I know that this equation. And this equation, does it have any value? Or does it have any sense? Also, for sure, yes. How do you know this if you don't know how to derive this equation? It was said by Einstein. Einstein was a great person. So this is one way of understanding how E equals mc squared is not an ordinary equation. It's a very important equation. So likewise, one is by the enlightened beings, how they made the prophecy, how they explained, that is so precious. This one part. Then the other part is the logical reasoning. That is number two. Number one, it says that, well, because whether he's alive or he has passed into nirvana, it doesn't matter. The stupa makes total, you venerating the stupa, you make offerings to stupa, helps you to accumulate so much, enormous amount of merit. Making offerings has been proclaimed to generate the same amount of merit, meaning that, say, merit that accumulate by making offerings to the living Buddha and making offerings to the reliquaries of stupas of the Buddha, the merit that accumulate is the same. This is what the Buddha himself taught in a sutra known as Maitreya's Roar of Lion Sutra. In Maitreya's Roar of Lion Sutra, it's clearly said that the merit that accumulate by venerating the Buddha's relics, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then logically speaking, that when you venerate, the stupa, say either you are a very learned person or you are not a learned person. If you're a learned person, of course, the benefit is far more. And if you're not as learned, still the benefit is great because it is like, I say that somehow you do know that this stupa is connected to Buddha Shakyamuni or connected to Buddha, the Kashyapa, and so forth. The Bodhisattva, say the Bodhisattva Aravalokiteshvara, or Bodhisattva Ramanjushri, and so forth. You know that. Because of that knowledge, And you know, for example, Manjushri, many of us know that he is the embodiment of the perfect wisdom. And our Avalokiteshvara is the embodiment of perfect compassion. That's what we learn. So naturally, our mind, the moment we see that, we venerate this, we're actually venerating the quality attributed to the being, a connection, the being who is connected with the stupa. For example, Buddha Shakyamuni, you're connected with the qualities of the Buddha: perfect love, perfect knowledge, and a perfect power. This is how we are connected with them. And then as you venerate more, then your appreciation to these qualities increase. As the appreciations increase, then your liking to these qualities built up. And as you like more, you like to do it yourself. You like to be compassionate. You like to be wiser. You like to be more powerful to benefit the beings. So this is how we manifest the qualities of the Buddhas. This is a very practical way of the practical benefit that we can see by venerating these reliquaries, stupas, and so forth. Okay. 39. Stanza 39. According to scriptural authority, results accrue whether on the conventional or ultimate level, similar to the way you say that offerings made to a truly existent Buddha give results. Okay. To understand this, they just imagine that you are the advocates of the emptiness of objective existence. And let's say that I'm the advocate of objective existence. I say that things exist objectively. And you said, no, things don't exist objectively. So we have to debate. Then I say that, okay, the COVID vaccine. If somebody asks me, the COVID vaccine, does it help to mitigate a part of the COVID? My answer is, of course, yes. And you will also say yes. You also say yes. Also say yes, it'll mitigate. It may not get rid of the COVID completely, but it'll mitigate the power of the COVID. Both of us agree. So which means that with the COVID vaccine, is there a benefit? Both of us will say yes. When I give the answer yes, I'm saying in my mind, I'm saying that objectively real COVID vaccine will objectively help me to get it, to mitigate the power of the objectively existent COVID. And for you, when you say that yes, this COVID vaccine will help us to mitigate the power of the COVID, what you are saying is that dreamlike COVID vaccine will help me to get rid of the dreamlike, help me to mitigate the power of the dreamlike COVID. But we both agree that there is the vaccine which can help to mitigate the power of the COVID. This is what we agree. So how that happens, subjectively, objectively, we two differ. But both of us agree that with the COVID vaccine, the power of the COVID is mitigated. That is what both of us accept. So likewise, say making offerings to the reliquaries will give benefit to you, will help you to accumulate merit. My answer is yes, your answer is yes. The only difference is that you say that all these things are happening on the illusion-like level or the subjective level, and I say that everything's happening on the objective level. But we both agree that there's a functionality operating. How many agree with me, Rusens? Good. If you agree with me, then stanza 39 will make sense to you. According to scriptural authority, results accrue, meaning that according to the scriptures, say in the scriptures it says yes, which you accept, which I accept, both sides accept, results accrue, whether on the conventional level for you or ultimate level for me, objective, from my point of view, me meaning advocate of objective existence, you advocate of subjective existence. For you, conventionally, for me, ultimately, similar to the way I say, I advocate of objective existence, say that offerings made to a truly existing Buddha give results. I would say that you make offerings to a truly existing Buddha, then you will have a merit. And you say that you make offering to the conventionally existing Buddha, you accumulate a merit. So this is the presentation mode, the mode of accumulation merit, this may differ, but the accumulation merit is accepted by both sides. So therefore, on that account, the advocate of objective existence cannot really be refute the advocates of subjective existence. Okay, this is a very important point. In other words, all these stanzas from 35 through to 39 help us understand that if things are all empty, how do you account for the functionality of the world? How do the functionality of the world, how can you explain the functions of the world if everything is empty of objective existence? So this Lama Tsongkhapa explains as the most difficult part. How to see the compatibility of emptiness of objective existence and the functionality of the world. Seeing these two things as compatible, that is the most difficult part, understanding which will help us to really feel that seeing emptiness of objective existence, your negative emotions will dissolve, your fears will dissolve. And seeing the conventional reality, the function of the world, your compassion grows by seeing the interdependent reality. Okay. The next part, establishing that the wisdom of emptiness is ultimately the true path to liberation. Okay, we are now entering into a very different world system. Very different world system of the emptiness, the concept, very different concept. This requires little technical aspect of the as for emptiness, we will give a little time. Okay, so I'll stop here and I'll entertain some questions. Any question that you might have, please do not hesitate. Any question that you might have, some of you may think that the question that you have may seem very, the insignificant. Don't worry about these things because however insignificant you may think it to be like, yes, it can really help many of us to see things clearer. Okay, any questions? Please raise hands. Okay, Gorilla.
Thank you, Geshe. I just wanted to ask, is emptiness of emptiness then form? Is it like form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form? Because when I try and think, if I get to the emptiness after the elements and I get to, then what would be emptiness of emptiness? I would come to form. I mean,
okay. This is a good point. To relate this to the Heart Sutra, form is empty. Emptiness is a form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. To relate this to the Heart Sutra, how do you relate this to the, form, just as Heart Sutra relates the two, form and its emptiness? How do you relate this to the emptiness as is empty and the emptiness of emptiness? So what we can say here is, if I'm to paraphrase the Heart Sutra to accommodate this emptiness and emptiness, we can say emptiness is the emptiness of emptiness. Emptiness is emptiness. And emptiness is not different from the emptiness, and emptiness is not different from emptiness. This is how we can relate it. And what do you understand by this is that, say I pick up this flower. Say, what is this? You will say emptiness. No, flower. So with respect to those people who see this through conventional analysis, with the conventional analysis, you see this as a flower. Then with respect to those people who go into the ultimate analysis, many who cross the border of conventionality, you go into the atoms. Atoms, the flower disappears. So for those people, when the flower disappears, I ask you, what is this? You say, flower is empty. So that is what the group A sees as a flower is emptiness for group B. Form is empty. What group B sees as emptiness is what group A sees as flower. Emptiness is flower. So what group A sees as a flower and what group B sees as emptiness, there's no difference. It's just the same object. Likewise, what group B sees as emptiness of flower is what group A sees as emptiness. It's the same object. Same object seen from two different perspectives. Likewise, we apply this to emptiness and the emptiness. So emptiness, let's say this is emptiness of the flower, group A and group B. Group A sees this as emptiness. Group B looks on the domain of the ultimate analysis, sees the emptiness of emptiness. So what group A sees as emptiness is what group B sees as emptiness or emptiness. What group B sees as emptiness is what group A sees as emptiness. And what group A sees and what group B sees, there's nothing different. It's the same object. Same object seen in two different perspectives. Okay, so this is how we can relate to it. Okay, Kama Subala.
Yes, it was about self-cognizant. I don't see how conventional mind is also not self-cognizant. If you have no knowledge of ultimate mind, then you're self-cognizant of conventional mind, no? Or yes?
I'll say it again.
I don't understand why conventional mind is not self-cognizant.
Okay. Conventional mind and self-cognizant mind. So let's say from the Chitta-matra point of view. Chitta-matra point of view, what is conventional mind and what is self-cognizant mind? I say, in fact, self-cognizant mind is a part of the conventional analysis. Self-cognizant mind. For example, let's say that I'm a part of the human beings. There are so many 7 billion human beings, and I'm one of the human beings. Likewise, there are so many the convention, the analysis mind, and of these, self-cognizant mind is one of them. So self-cognizant mind is conventional analysis, a mind of conventional analysis. Yes, it is. It is. Okay, the Milindla.
Thank you, Geshe. Geshe, the analogy of mirror in the Chitta-matra school for mind, I somehow find it a bit problematic because we also say that the image is of the nature of the mind, nature of the mirror. But if we, at another plane, for an image to be seen, there has to be something as an object existing outside the mirror. So how do we use this analogy? I think there's a problem with this analogy. It's not very clear to me.
So if you find when you speak about the analogy does not mean that every aspect must be fulfilled. Not necessary. Only that, what appears is the reflection. And it says that whatever we are experiencing, they are like the reflections in the mirror. And the reflections, whether you need the external source or not, this is not being discussed. Only being that part that the reflection is there, which is not as physically separated from the mirror, but it's the same nature as the mirror. That is the analogy taken. And if you find it difficult, then go to the dream. The dreaming mind and what you dreamt, the contents of the dream, and versus the dreaming mind which is like the mirror, and the contents of the dream like the reflection in the mirror. And then for the dream, we don't need external object which should be reflected in the dream mind. No need of the external object. So if you find that the mirror and the reflection as difficult, then apply this to the dream. And in fact, dream, if you can understand with the dream, that's perfect, because in Acharya Chandrakirti's text, when Acharya Chandrakirti asked the Chitta-matra, what example do you have? Then they give the example of the dream. That's perfect. Yeah, very good. Okay, any more questions? Okay, Ruchitala.
Geshe-la, in the verse 27, it reads, although the illusion is not truly existent, it is still an object of view. So it is for the viewer. Suppose you still object, but samsara must have only some truly existing functional thing as its support. Otherwise, it would be like space. My question is, does this mean that in Chittamatra philosophy, space is not considered as substantial, as not having substance? What is the nature of space then? Because here they have compared.
Analogy. Please give an analogy. Let's say that, okay, my room, it has nothing there. No sofa, no kitchen, no food, nothing. It's like a space, which means that it's empty, it's vacuum, it's empty. This connotation. And so when substance knows that this is not what is being discussed, simply saying that you are left, your mind is left, nothing else is there. Because all else is what your mind perceives, and they are all illusion. If they're illusion, they're not really there. Then what is really there is just your mind. Then with respect to you, what about everything else? Everything else is like space. Then everything becomes like a space. This is the analogy given. Okay, the Shevin-la.
Geshe-la, I am a bit confused because when you were explaining on the Chittamatra point of view, they see things objectively real, they see things but not subjectively real. So after that, you move on to the other stanza by Nagarjuna on the dependent origination. So that one, and then you were explaining on the dream-like phenomena. So is there any link between this? Is like I'm shifting from here. So is that dependent origination a view of Chittamatra point of view? When you see things in the dream as objectively real, is that a Chittamatra view point of view? I'm confused.
Okay, this is a good question. So dream, actually, this dream is an extremely good example for the subjectivity. That things exist subjectively. The dream is a very good example. And in fact, this is what almost all the schools, particularly Chittamatra and the true Madhyamikas, they use this example, the dream. So when you use the example, the dream as an example, we are to be very careful. Which school is using this as an example? So when Chittamatra uses that example, they're not rejecting objective existence. They're rejecting external existence. When the Prasanga is using this as an example, they're not rejecting external reality. They're rejecting objective reality. So this is something that we need to keep in mind, or context. And the dream is, yes, all these three schools use to understand the subjectivity. Now, dependent origination. Dependent origination, how the Chittamatra understands dependent origination and how the Madhyamikas understand dependent is slightly different. For Chittamatra, dependent origination is applicable only to the impermanent phenomena. Whereas for Madhyamika, dependent origination is applicable to all phenomena. This wasn't one distinction. So when we say emptiness and dependent origination, there are the two sides of the same coin. When it's explained this, it is in the context of the Madhyamika. It is not in the context of the Chittamatra. This is what we need to keep in mind. Okay. Kenjurumala.
Geshe-la, thank you. Geshe-la, I remember that earlier we learned that it is quite difficult to really understand why Chittamatra's thoroughly established nature is truly existent. But I think I don't fully understand why is it so, because if Chittamatra says that the mind exists truly and there is nothing besides the mind, then what is the real difficulty to understand that thoroughly established nature exists truly? For me, it is more difficult to understand why other powered nature exists truly. So I can't, because I think that in my mind is kind of other powered nature, it is when thoroughly established nature stained with the conceptual thoughts, conceptuality. So once you remove the conceptuality, then there is only a thoroughly established nature which exists truly. Then I can't really understand what's the difficulty to posit that thoroughly established nature truly exists.
My question to you is that do you mean to say that the thoroughly established nature or the emptiness to be truly existent, it is not that difficult. More difficult is to see the other powered nature as truly existent. That is more difficult. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes, Geshe-la.
Okay. If this is what you are saying, okay. So those of us who do not really study these, what is known as three natures, the impure nature, other powered nature, and thoroughly established nature. And those of us who are yet to be exposed to this, don't worry too much about it. So we are basically talking about all phenomena. Could we do three categories? One, impermanent phenomena, known as the other powered nature. And the other side is permanent phenomena. Permanent phenomena divided into two. One is the ultimate reality, emptiness. That is referred to as the thoroughly established nature. And all the other permanent phenomena, keeping aside the emptiness of the permanent phenomena other than emptiness, plus the non-existent things, they all fall under the third category known as imputed nature, three. And of the three, the first two are other powered nature and the thoroughly established nature. These two are said to be truly existent. And whereas the imputed nature is said to be empty of true existence. So this is what is being discussed. And then Jumala is saying that for the thoroughly established emptiness to be truly existent, that she does not find it too difficult. What is more difficult is to say that the other powered nature, other than the mind, the flower, the house, and so forth, how they are truly existent, that is more complicated. This is what she is saying. Okay, so let us put it like this. Let's say the mirror and the reflection in the mirror. Mirror and the reflection mirror. And the reflection mirror, reflection of the flower. Mirror. Does it exist or not? It does exist. Does it have color or not? It does have. It has a color. It does exist, but it does not exist as stable as the mirror, but it does exist with the color, the shape, and so forth. So even if you don't think about it, still the reflection exists. Even if your thought does not think about it, still the reflection exists, which means that the reflection exists from its own substance. From its own substance. That is known as the true existence. That is known as true existence. So therefore, for other objects like the flower, for Chittamatra, the flower is like the reflection in the mirror, which has a color, which has shape, which has a substance from its own side. Because it has substance from its own size, it is truly existent. This is how we explain. Okay, more questions, Bismillah? Okay.
Geshe-la, I understand it like this. So we have emptiness, thoroughly established nature. And then we have a deluded mind, which is emptiness plus conceptuality. And then the other powered nature is formed.
Yes.
No? No? So thoroughly established nature plus my conceptual mind, yeah? So I can perceive this pen as a pen, right? Because like imputed nature plus emptiness, then I can see this pen as a pen, right? Or no?
Yes.
So then we posit the other powered nature.
Okay, this imputed
so
does not mean the imputation that you are talking about is closer towards the Madhyamika imputation. Chittamatra imputation is very different. Chittamatra does not talk about imputation related to the flower, only to the permanent phenomena other than emptiness. They don't talk about the imputation with the impermanent phenomena. So you are mixing up with the Madhyamika imputation. Yeah. Very good. So this is a little technical part which he studied for so many years. Ruchita, do you have a question? No? Okay, anyone else? You have a question? Raise hands. And even if you may think that it's very trivial or insignificant, please don't think like this. Your questions will be really very helpful. Particularly if the question is coming from somebody who is not exposed to these concepts before, the question will be even better because more number of people can be benefit out of that. Any questions? Raise hands. Any questions? Raise hands. Okay. If not, then we will do the end direction prayer.
Additional dedication prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chandrisik Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samandabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Changchu Semcho Rinpoche Ma Ke Pana Ke Gyuche Ke Wanya Pa Me Pa Ya Kone Kondu Pe Varsho. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into the enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I, in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and the auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of the union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the land of snows. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Ramanjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Heart Sutra Mantra. Dayatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam gati bodhi swaha tyatha om gati gati paragate parasam gati bodhi swaha. Thank you, Venerable Geshe-la. Thank you, Shahala. Thank you, David-la. Thank you, Tenzin-Dumala. Thank you, all of you. See you all next week.
Thank you, everybody. See you all next week. I just like to remind the Israelis that we don't have a revision with Yakila today. Hopefully, we'll have him next week back with us. Thank you. See you all next week.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Everyone.
Geshe-la. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Geshe-la.
everyone.